The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm Rob Deininger, and I'm here with Jack Degraw. And as always, we're talking Yankees baseball. How you doing, Jack?
Good. How are you tonight, Robert?
Not too bad. I was hoping the Yankees would clinch the division last night, but they lost in extra innings to the Blue Jays, so they're going for it again tonight. It'd be nice for them to wrap up this American League division tonight and start getting ready for the postseason.
Yeah, well, they come off a big homestand where they won 6 in a row, and then the Rays and the Blue Jays have been beating each other up, so the Yankees have taken advantage and they're on the verge of clinching.
Yeah, and right now, I think Toronto, they got the number one wild card spot. They're 3 games up on Tampa, and Tampa's a half game up on Seattle, who has the last playoff spot. And Baltimore right now is 3.5 out. And I think Baltimore is playing Boston right now. And then, things are starting to shape up a little bit, getting a clearer picture of, who'll be playing who soon.
Yeah, well, we knew Toronto was going to be good, and the Rays are always good. And, even if the Orioles don't make the playoffs or anything, they've really had a big turnaround year. So, I'm happy to see them do well.
Yeah, it's like last night, we went to 10 innings, and in the top of the 10th, the Yankees had first and second with third base open, and Judge was up, and they walked Judge to load the bases, and it worked out for them. And then in the bottom of the 10th, the Yankees had 1 out and a runner on second, and I was thinking just walk Guerrero, set up, maybe you can get a double play, but they decided to pitch to Guerrero, and he knocked in a game-winning run. I think that was a mistake on Boone's part, but, we're so close to clinching the division, you can let that one slide, I suppose.
Yeah, I think this rule is with us, Robert. The extra inning thing, the runner on second. It just drives me nuts because a lot of teams, they have trouble scoring. They don't do any small ball, and it just drives me crazy.
That's like, I hope next year with eliminating the shift, we can get back to a little bit more small ball, hit and run, stuff like that. That it'd be fun to see stuff like that again. I think you'll see more action, more guys trying to hit, but instead of trying to hit home runs, just trying to get guys in by hitting singles. So I'm hoping the elimination of the shift starts opening up things, and we start seeing a little bit more of a small ball, as I call it.
Yeah, when a lot of the teams, the Yankees especially, when they're not hitting home runs, they have trouble scoring. So maybe, if they can't use the shift, they might be able to do a few things and generate some runs with hit and run and hitting behind the runner and, maybe a sacrifice fly every now and then, because home run or nothing, if it's home run, it's great. But if it's not, it's pretty boring to watch.
Yeah, and like there's, that saying, live by the home run, die by the home run. It's a saying for a reason, the teams that hit the home runs during the regular season, once you get to that postseason, you start facing top-notch pitching. You're not gonna hit them like you did during the regular season.
Yeah, you need home runs in the playoffs, but just like you were saying, when you get good pitching, you're not going to hit home runs. So
yeah,
the Yankees got a lot of new names this, season coming up. So, maybe these guys can deliver.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, Judge, I just been amazed with the season he's having. About a week ago, almost a week ago, he took the lead in the batting title, and I think he's barely just over a percentage point over the next guy. So right now he's still got the Triple Crown on his belt. I would love to see him win the Triple Crown and pass Roger Maris. That would be great. He'd be a unanimous MVP. With that, if he were to win the Triple Crown, I think who was it? Cabrera did it in 2012, and I forget the last player to do it before him. But I mean, getting a triple crown, it's something that not many people have done in baseball.
Yeah, I remember Mickey Mantle doing it, and Carl Yastrzemski, and I think Frank Robinson did it, but it doesn't happen that often. And I mean, and the great history of the Yankees, you sit back, this is one of the greatest season the Yankees ever had. I mean, this is something, people be talking about 50 years from now.
Yeah, like Mantle was the last Yankee to win the Triple Crown, right? Back in, 56?
Yeah, 56.
Yeah, and Roger Maris hitting 61 home runs in 1961. I mean, for him to get, a Triple Crown and pass Maris, and I mean, my God, the year. And like we were talking off air, he hasn't hit home runs over the weekend, but he's hitting. He's hitting doubles. He's singling. He's getting on base. He's walking and taking the hits that he's able to get.
And one of the interesting thing when Maris hit his 61st home run, they gave him an asterisk.
Yeah.
Because Ford Frick was a ghostwriter for Babe Ruth. So,
yeah.
But actually, Judge hit him in less games than the Babe did.
Yeah, ain't that something? And I thought I heard something today that Roger Maris actually hit 62 home runs, but one of the games was canceled because it was rained out. So the home run he hit in that game didn't count because the game didn't count.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, I heard that story. I think it was in Baltimore, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it got called like the fourth inning.
Wow, that's something. I for a while I thought maybe Judge could get to 65 homers, but I think if he breaks the record, I think the most he's going to hit is 62. But even if he breaks the record, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think once he gets over the hurdle here, which eventually he'll hit a few home runs. He'll probably hit 2 or 3 more after that because then the pitchers might not be afraid to pitch to him.
Yeah, and Buster Olney, who works for ESPN, he considers the season Judge is having to be the best of all time, given how they play the shift and how hard the pitchers throw. I mean, you're not just facing the starter, for the whole game, you're facing him for 4, maybe 5 innings, and then you're dealing with the bullpen who comes in throwing extremely hard. He thinks the season that Judge is having is right up there with one of the best seasons of all time.
Well, I mean, if you follow the Yankees like we do, if Judge wasn't doing what he was doing, they would be battling for the last playoff spot.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially in the second half of the season when no one was hitting but him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really been something incredible.
And Gleyber Torres is batting third tonight, and we were talking off air. Gleyber in the last 23 games is batting .300. He's got 6 home runs, 11 RBIs. And Rizzo, if he can continue to, get his few hits a night, it gives Judge some protection, in number 2 and number 3 spot. And if Stanton can get going, he's had a couple of good games followed by a bad game. If he can get going, they might have to pitch a Judge this last week or so.
Well, I think the thing with Torres, when Rizzo and Stanton got back, Torres, he's using the whole field.
Yeah.
And maybe with, all the injuries, he might have been pressing a little bit. I mean, he had 2 homers in 1 inning the other day.
Yeah. That's right. I think he led off the inning with a home run, and then they batted around, and he hit another one.
I remember. I think Joe Pepitone did that in 62 or something.
Yeah.
That's the last Yankee I remember doing it.
Yeah, I caught the game when Judge, I think, led the ninth off with the home run, and then they got the bases loaded, and Stanton hit the walk-off grand slam, and then the next game, in the first inning, that rookie hit a grand slam, and I guess it's the first time a major league team has ended a game on a grand slam and then started the very next game with a grand slam with no outs or something like that.
Yeah, that Cabrera, he comes up with some big hits.
Yeah, right.
And the amazing thing, wherever he plays, he makes a great defensive play, and he's got one of the biggest gloves I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That baseball glove is huge.
Yeah, I'm looking. And Cabrera, in his last 12 games, he's batting .293. He's got 3 home runs and 9 RBIs. He's walked 8 times. Got 12 hits, 11 runs scored, 4 doubles. I mean, so yeah, he's. We were talking about this last time. You could tell he's getting more and more comfortable with every game, and the last 12 to 15 games, he's doing his part.
Well, the thing is, they called him up, the Yankees, when they didn't have any other choices, and he was making great plays in the beginning, and he wasn't hitting that much, but they stuck with him.
Yeah.
They gave him an opportunity, and he got his feet wet, and now he's hitting well. So that's what happens with a lot of guys. They don't get the chances, and they feel like they have to do it right away, or they won't be in the lineup.
Yeah. And I'm looking at other stats right now. Stanton, he's basically played in 105 games, and he's got 28 homers and 75 RBIs. He's not batting good, but the fact that he's so productive when he does play, God, if he can just, stay healthy and the rest of the year and start getting it clicking, because he's dangerous in the postseason. We saw what he could do a couple years ago when he had, 6 home runs or something like that.
Yeah, he played terrific in the postseason a couple of years ago. And the thing with Stanton, I mean, he can look terrible, for a couple pitches or an at bat, and then he hits a bomb like it's out of there at 120 miles an hour. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah,
the TV camera can't even pick up the ball if it's so hard. Yeah, my God. But yeah, I mean, it'd be great if we can clinch it tonight. That way we can start getting everything, getting our guys healthy, sit maybe a couple guys, and getting our pitching staff in order, because I'm pretty sure Cole will be our number 1 guy. But, there's a lot of talk about who would follow him. Would it be Cortez? Would it be Severino? Who would be the 4th guy? Who would be the, odd man out? There's still some decisions to be made with that pitching staff, I think.
Well, you can make an argument. You could start Cortez the first game.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like with Severino, even if you start him, I mean, can he go more than 4 or 5 innings? So you might have to bring Germán in after that.
Yeah. I mean, Cortez, I mean, his ERA on the year is basically 2.5. I mean, the year he's had has been unbelievable. He started 27 games for him this year, and he's only given up 107 hits in over 150 innings. He's only walked 40. Oh, wait, where is it? Oh, he's only walked 36 batters on the year. Opponents are only batting 195 against him. He has a whip under 1. I mean, yeah, Cortez. I mean, you can't overstate how important he was to them this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been outstanding. And, I mean, you happen to watch him now. He gets on the mound. He does these little, dance steps.
Yeah.
Like a Louis Tiant or something. So he's not only an excellent pitcher, he's really fun to watch. Yeah,
but you're right. If we have Cortez, Cortez should probably get the start over Severino and, for game 2. And I like, that way Severino in game 3, if you have to pull him early, you can bring in a guy like Germán.
Yeah, I mean, and I think another thing is is it 2-0? Are the Yankees up 2 games? Is it 0-2? They're down. Is it 1-1? I think that'll play a part in who maybe will start the 3rd or even the 4th game.
Yeah.
And who, if they're playing the Indians, who are they matching up with? Are they going to play the Rays? So I think it all depends who they're matching up with.
the thing that worries me though is Boone said in the postseason he's going to go with the closer by committee with Holmes, Loizica, and Chapman. And I don't know if I feel comfortable with any of those guys. I mean, if Holmes is on, then I like Holmes, but he's been struggling ever since he got the closer role, and Loizica just hasn't been the same this year. And Chapman, I don't know, he's just not. He's nowhere near the guy he used to be.
No, I mean that's the big Achilles heel right now. The bullpen, they've been better lately, but they haven't been good since the end of July.
Yeah.
I mean, Holmes struggled, and Peralta and Britton, he's been hurt, and Chapman. I mean, I even heard they were going to designate him for assignment, so I don't know what's going on. So that's what you got to look for the last 8-10 games. If Chapman maybe can get straightened out a little bit, but right now when you have a bullpen by committee, you really don't have.
No.
You flip a coin at this point.
It's like I'm looking at his stats. He's 9 for 9 in save opportunities, but only 9 saves because a lot of the times they've had to pull him out of the ninth inning to bring someone else in, and he's got an ERA that's pushing 4.5. And it's just amazing that, I mean, he's only pitched 33 innings. He's given up 16, he's given up 22 hits and 16 runs in 33 innings this year. That's just nowhere near the guy he used to be.
Yeah, and most of those saves were like early in the season.
Yeah.
They were April and May, and I remember a couple times, Boone come out and pulled him, and Holmes would come in, maybe bases loaded, no outs, and he'd get him out of it. Yeah. And most of those saves were earlier in the year.
How's Britton look? Because I haven't had an opportunity to see him pitch at all.
Well, he pitched the other night, and he walked 3 guys. He threw 19 pitches, 7 strikes. He gave up a run. He didn't look good at all. But I mean, he's come from the Tommy John, so that's to be expected. Hopefully they can get him in 3 or 4 more games the rest of the year, and maybe they have an option for him for the playoffs. But right now I don't think you can count on it.
I tell you, losing Chad Green early in the year along with King, that really hurt their bullpen.
Yeah. So.
And also they DFA'd Miguel Andujar, and we were talking, and you told me Pittsburgh picked him up.
Yeah, Pittsburgh got him, and he played last night. Pirates won. He had a hit, and he had a sacrifice fly, and he DH'd. So that's a good thing. I mean, the Pirates get a guy like that. They're not going anywhere. Maybe he can get his 500 at-bats. They still got another year. He can't go to free agency until after next year. So hopefully, he can have a good year and, get some money.
Yeah. And the thing that pisses me off is he requested a trade early in the year, and the Yankees at any point could have gotten rid of him. They could have traded him to any team they wanted to for nothing. And it just seems they just held on to him just for depth, just in case they needed him here and there. And that was it, and it's just a shame because he had such a great rookie year and then the injury, and he never got a chance to fully try to at least earn a roster spot back. Because a guy like him, he's not someone who's going to walk a lot. He doesn't strike out a lot. He's never struck out more than 100 times in a season. And he's just someone who needs consistent at-bats because he's a contact hitter. He's a line drive hitter. And I think, I'm glad that he went to a team where he might have a chance to play every day and show what he can do. Because he's 27 years old. At least he's still in his prime, at least part of his prime.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. I mean, I don't think it's like a personal thing.
No, not at all.
And it's like, these guys get stuck in the numbers games, and with a team like the Yankees, with all the big contracts, you'll get lost in the minors.
Yeah.
You won't really you won't really get a chance. And then this has been going on forever. You can go back when, Branch Rickey had the minor league system with the Cardinals, and, they used to hide guys in the minors, and they would never get a chance. And so this has been going on for a long time.
Yeah, and I kind of feel they ruined Clint Frazier in a sense because, they kept pulling, bringing him up, sending him down, bringing him up, sending him down. And I think it took a toll on him, with his confidence, and he never regained it. Well,
this is something like we mentioned this a couple weeks ago. When they got Frazier, the kid was had 8-9 homers, had about 40 RBIs and hitting fourth, and then he gets sent to the minors, and it's got to mess up your head. And the Yankees also acquired a guy like Billy McKinney. And Billy McKinney wasn't as highly regarded as there were a lot of the players. They said he was a fourth outfielder. Well, he was a fourth outfielder, but he spent 4 or 5 years playing in the big leagues. Yeah. So here's Frazier, who was the top prospect. Andujar was, and because they were so good in the minors, supposedly, it hurt him in the long run because they didn't really get the shot.
Jeez.
No, I always think about Frazier. Maybe, if he had a roster spot guaranteed, maybe down in Bradenton, he wouldn't have tried to catch that fly ball, get hit in the head and having all these concussions and stuff. And, it might not have happened. Who knows?
Yeah, and I can't find the stats, but they showed you. I was looking at stats where they showed you what Miguel Andujar could have done over a 162 game season, and it was pretty impressive. So I am happy that the Pittsburgh picked him up because I'm still high on him. I still think he's someone who can hit you 280, hit you over 20 homers, and drive you in 80 runs. I just think he's that kind. He's a contact hitter, line drive hitter. He's going to get you extra base hits, and he's going to drive in runs wherever you put him in the lineup.
Yeah, well, good luck to him. I hope he does well.
Yeah. So do you think Judge might hit 61 tonight?
With the Jays pitching around him, they can make a mistake and stuff, but I think the Jays are not, these are big games for them. Yeah. And they're not going to let, they're not going to let Judge beat him.
Yeah, they brought in one guy last night, and he threw him 7 straight sliders, and Judge ended up striking out. And they were talking in the postgame that is this a formula that other teams might follow, is just throwing them hard sliders and seeing if he'll chase them, And Mark McGwire said it best, no pitcher is perfect. Everyone, you're going to get at least one mistake per bat, and you just got to capitalize on that one mistake. And Judge does seem to be locked in, so I hope he does it tonight.
Yeah, it'd be nice, if he did it in a game and they clinch.
Mhm. Oh yeah. The only thing is, I don't think John Sterling's calling the games in Toronto this series.
No, Robert, he's been around a long time.
Right, a really long time.
I remember he had a show on WMCA, and this was back in 1974. And he used to call, one of the things he used to do, he used to call the New York Raiders games, hockey games. And we're going back, almost 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like Michael Kay when he got his start on the radio. He was calling games with John Sterling before he went to the booth to call for Yes.
Yeah, it's funny, Robert. I was thinking the other night, like in 92, 93, I actually met Michael Kay at the Yankee Fan Fest with Jacob Javits. And I remember we talked for about 15, 20 minutes. It was kind of cool. Fans were going around. We were talking about Kevin Moss and Mattingly and the team at that point. He was a young guy then. So, he's been around a long time, too.
Oh, yeah, Michael Kay. I sent in a tweet when he was doing his Michael Kay show, and he was sticking up for Garrett Cole, and also he was playing the fence with Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge, saying, if Judge leaves, so be it. If he stays, so be it. And I basically sent in a tweet basically saying, why don't you take a stance? You're such a company man. And he read my tweet on air and tore into me. I mean, really tore into me. But then he sent me a direct message, and he was telling me his point of view, that he really thinks Cole's a really good pitcher. Maybe not the guy he was in Pittsburgh, but he's still a top-notch pitcher. And it just turned out he's a really nice guy. He was really nice. It was nice of him to send me a private message explaining his position, and we've actually exchanged messages here on air, and so he's completely different on air than he is off of it,
Was this recently, Robert?
Yeah, it was this year. It was the beginning of the season, and because a lot of people are, on Cole saying he's not the pitcher we signed. We overpaid for him, and Michael Kay was sticking up for him, saying he's still a great pitcher, and I was kind of like, how can you say he's still a great pitcher? I'm like, we got the guy, we got the pitcher that he was with Pittsburgh, not the pitcher he was with the A's or the Astros. And he said no. He's like, he's a great pitcher, and he's like, you'll see, he's still a great pitcher. And yeah, I got to read the tweet again that I sent to him, but I remember him reading it on air. And he called me a bottom feeder. He goes, one of the bottom feeder Yankee fans. And, he just tore into my tweet. But, yeah, I got to bring it up on our next show. I'll find it and read it to you guys. It was something. And then I'll read what he sent to me in the private message. But he was really nice in the private message. He explained his stance on Cole and on Judge, And with Judge, I was like, take a stand. Do you want him to go or do you want him to stay? What is it,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think, Robert, when they do these shows every single day,
yeah,
they're on the air talking, and you have to have something to talk about. And if they're always agreeing about something, you have to have something you can go off on, because that causes callers to listen, people to call in. They want to hear that stuff. So
yeah. And Michael Kay, he's been around a long time. I think he started out writing for the Daily News. I think it was. It could have been the Post. It was either the Post or the News, and then he became a Yankees reporter, Yankee clubhouse reporter, and started with the radio, and then moved to the TV. Man, he's been there about 30, 40 years now. Yeah, I mean,
he's another voice of the Yankees. I like him. I think he does a good job and stuff. I mean, a lot of fans, Yankee fans are always bitching about something. So
yeah, it's like me growing up. Phil Rizzuto was the voice for me, and John Sterling, and then Michael Kay. I mean, those are the three guys that stand out to me. I mean, there are a lot of other guys that were in there, but those three guys, Rizzuto, Sterling, and Kay, have been, the voice of the Yankees for me.
Yeah, I remember the Scooter and Bill White, Frank Messer, Billy Martin used to do games, Bobby Mercer, and you know, Robert, we were talking off air about Judge. If they don't sign him, and I remember we met. We were talking like if the Yankees don't sign Judge, I mean, it's like this generation of fans, they need a player that they can identify with, saying he's a Yankee. You had Mantle, you had Mercer, Munson, Jeter, Mattingly, and stuff. I mean, who on this team are the fans really going to identify as, a great Yankee?
Yeah, I mean, before Judge, the other really great Yankee was Cano, and he ended up leaving for Seattle. But like you're right. I mean, with the last in the '90s, you had Jeter, Posada, Pettit, Mariano Rivera. I mean, you had a number of them that came up through the system, you know. And since 2000, we started to go back and buying these high-priced free agents, and we've neglected the guys coming up. You know, we wind up letting them go.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, if they don't sign, could you imagine like the backlash from the fans?
Oh yeah, imagine if Cohen of the Mets signed him. Oh my God! I mean, Yankee fans would go ballistic. They'd probably storm Yankee Stadium. Cashman would have to hide out for a while.
Yeah. And here's another thing, Robert. You know, we can discuss this if you want. About, you know, when they hit a home run in the stands, like a 60 homer, 61st, 62nd home run, you know, there's a thing, should the fans return the ball or should they make money on the ball?
Well, remember Roger Maris? Remember he hit 61 and he told the guy, you need it more than me, and the guy used it to pay for his wedding and a house. So Roger Maris told the guy to keep the ball. I'm curious to see what Judge would do.
Well, you know, in 61, it was Sal Durante. He caught the ball. And him and his girlfriend at the time, who became his wife, I think he had to borrow the money from her, from his brother or somebody, to buy the ticket to go to the last game.
Oh, really?
And he caught the ball. And he presented it to Roger, and Roger says, no, you need it more than I do. You're getting married. And they sold it. He sold it to a restaurant owner in California for $5,000.
Wow.
And eventually the restaurant owner gave the ball back to Roger.
Yeah. Wow. See, if I were to catch Judge's ball, big part of me would want to give it back. But the other part of me that desperately needs the money, yeah, I'd probably keep it.
Well, I just seen something today, Robert. When McGuire hit his, like, you know, legendary home run in St. Louis, the guy who caught it wanted to, you know, his 70th home run. Phil Osronsky. He caught his 70th homer. He wanted an autographed bat or a ball from McGuire, and he wanted to meet McGuire. And McGuire said no.
Really?
And the guy wound up selling the ball for $3 million.
Wow. Good for him. I mean, McGuire actually didn't want to meet him?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, the thing is, Robert, like with these people catch these balls, and it's like they want them to give the ball back for nothing. Yeah. I mean, the Yankees are billionaires. The players are millionaires.
Yeah.
And they want it, you know, the guy just to give the ball back, or they give him season. If he gives the ball back, give him season tickets for 20 years, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
And give him 60,000.
Yeah, because even if the person sells the ball, that ball is going to end up making its way back to Cooperstown somehow. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many. Like, I mean, these owners make billions and billions of dollars, and like you said, I mean, you got pitchers now making over $40 million a year. These guys don't. I understand it's a sentimental thing, but there's a lot of fans out there that, you know, they're hurting for money. You know.
Yeah. And it's funny, you know, a lot of the fans, when the kid gave the 60th ball back, he's 20 years old, they actually said it might have been an inside job. The Yankees might be planting employees out there or something. But the thing is, it's like in the fan, oh, he's a great fan, and, you know, giving the ball back. I mean, if people need money, and they, you know, this is they could make life-changing money.
Yeah,
and they just want to give it back for a freaking autograph bat.
Yeah. No, I mean, you could buy a home with that ball.
Oh, you know? I mean, you could be set, you're set for a long time if you're smart with it. But
yeah, you buy a nice little home, you put the rest in some IRAs or something, and you're all right for a while. You're all right, I mean, these ball players, they're going to be fine.
Yeah, and the owners are going to be even better.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I seen something the other day, like the Yankees and all the major league teams are on Apple.
Yeah.
And in the last X amount of, last 5 years or 3 years, Apple is one of the biggest, they've made more money than anybody. Well, they're number 3 behind Amazon. I forget what the other one is. And then, the games are on Apple, and the fans who buy Yes and other, cable subscriptions, they have to pay extra money to see the games. I mean, Judge is going for the record, and you can't even watch the game.
You can't even watch the game. And that's the thing. The Yankees are making billions from the Yes Network. And on top of it, now they're getting paid from Apple and Amazon so they can broadcast their games. So they're even bringing in more money from streaming services. And like you said, why would fans who have the Yes Network go out and pay Amazon just to watch an extra 20 games and maybe 10 games on Apple? I mean, it's not worth it. I mean, it's just too much money after a while, I mean, it's expensive enough going to a game. Now they're making it even harder to watch games because now they want you to put more money out to watch games at home.
Well, it's just greed. I mean, they'll say the attendance is going down, but
that's because they're pricing you out.
Yeah, they're charging 3 times the price they usually get. I mean, I just know from spring training down here, the tickets were you'd get some for maybe $11, $15. Now those same tickets that were $15 are now like $50, $60.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
So instead of maybe they get $10,000 for exhibition game, maybe you only get $8,000, but the 8,000 fans are paying, 3 times more than they were paying. We're going back maybe 7 or 8 years ago. This is just not of course it goes up. I mean, I've been here 19 years, and every year it goes up a few bucks, but now it's just outrageous. It's just off the charts.
They should have some kind of customer appreciation night where, everything's just at a discount, the tickets, the food, beverages, so the average fan can come and enjoy a day game or something, cut the prices in half, at least once a year, just so people can come and fill the stadium and have a good time, because it's just way too expensive to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Tampa's playing looks like the Cubs right now, and I guess Cleveland just clinched the Central Division.
Well, they did?
Yeah.
And here's another thing, Rob. When you turn on the Yankee games now, you see all these empty seats behind home plate, behind the dugouts. It's a bad look.
Yeah.
But all those fans spend all this money to sit underneath and watch the game and eat food.
Yeah. God knows how much the parking is,
Well, I think at some spots it could be $50, $60.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's why when Judge hit that home run in the ninth, a lot of people left the stadium early because it's a pain in the ass to get out of there. And so a lot of fans actually missed Judge hitting the 60th home run because they wanted to get out before the traffic got bad.
Yeah, then Stanton hit the home run. I got to admit, Robert, I did turn the game off, and then I turned it on half an hour later.
Yeah, me too.
So.
Yeah, and going back to Judge and salary, we were talking off air. Garrett Cole this year is making $36 million. Stanton's making $29. Donaldson's making $21. Chapman's making $18. Britton's making $14. And like I was saying, we're off air. Chapman's $18 coming off the books. Britton's $14 million is coming off the books. I mean, I'm sure there's a way that they can manage to pay him $30 to $35 million a year. I mean, and if it's not about money and it's about years, I mean, if you go that extra seventh year, big deal. I mean, they got to find a way to bring him back. They can afford to pay him. I have a feeling, like we were saying, it's about the years more than anything else, right?
Yeah, and I mean, if they want to give him less years, just give him, more money.
Yeah,
because,
I mean, they got the money.
Yeah, with just with, selling the T-shirts, selling the hats, selling everything, just with Judge's name on it.
Yeah.
You're going to make a lot of money that way. And the fans need a player they can identify with.
And I thought Miami was picking up every year Stanton's contract, but I saw somewhere that they're picking up only 2027, 2028, and 2029. So if that's the case, then the Yankees are paying, Stanton's full salary at least until the year 2027. And then Miami picks up the rest of it starting, in 2027. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's something I saw when I was looking up the salaries.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware of that. Miami, there's another dumpster fire. Jeter got down there for 5 years, and he's seen they weren't going to spend no money. Oh, another thing, Robert, Mattingly's leaving as manager.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, at the end of this season, Don Mattingly's done with the Marlins. He see it's a dead end situation.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much he can do with working. I mean, all he can really do is just work with the young guys. But it's an organization that just they don't spend money and they're not developing talent in the minor league system. It's got to wear on you. I mean, he'll get a job somewhere.
Yeah, and there's been talk. Coming back to the Yankees as a bench coach and stuff, or a hitting coach.
Yeah, I would love to see him come back as their hitting coach.
Well, I think
Shift being gone next year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll look for another manager job.
Yeah.
But if he can't find that, maybe he'll be a hitting coach or a bench coach for a year with the Yanks.
I liked what he did because when Torrey left the Yankees and they were going to give the job to Girardi, they wanted Mattingly to stay on, but Mattingly said no because he didn't want to be a distraction to Girardi because a lot of the fans wanted Mattingly to be the head coach, and he didn't want to be a distraction to Girardi, so he declined being I think it was the bench coach.
Yeah,
he's just a class act, Mattingly.
It was funny, Robert. I remember one year he was down here when he was a batting coach, and the fans, he was signing autographs for the fans. And the fans, the one guy goes, why are you signing them, Don? They're just going to sell them anyway. And he says, yeah. He goes, what do I care?
It's like I told you, I lost his autograph and I sent a message to his foundation telling him what happened, and within a month I got 2 autographed miniature bats autographed by Don Mattingly. I mean, he really is, his organization and him himself. He's just you can't help but root and like a guy like that.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of player, like Judge was, or Judge is. And, you need players like, I remember growing up, Bobby Mercer, and meeting Bobby years later, and he was always a terrific guy. I met him 5 or 6 times, and, that's the thing you remember, and that's why I hate to see Judge go, because, the younger fans won't have anybody to identify with. And the old fans, he won't either.
Yeah, because we're talking. I mean, he literally is the unofficial captain of the Yankees. He's essentially the face of baseball. He says and does all the right things on and off the field. I mean, and he doesn't like it to be about him. To him, it's about the team. It's like when we were trying to, talk to him about hitting that, he was more about, Stanton getting the credit for that game, for winning the game for them. He didn't want to talk about his home run. He wanted to talk about how, the guys rallied back and Stanton hitting the home run. And he's just a good teammate, and those guys are hard to come by. Yeah,
well, hopefully, they won't lose him. And if they do lose him, I don't knock anybody. If you can make more money and that's what you want to do, God bless. But if they lose him because they don't want to pay him, what is that going to say about the Yankees? It just say like, Hal's interested in, the business instead of the team.
Yeah, because I think they offered him a 7-year, $213 million deal. And basically Hal, I guess several weeks ago, said it was a fair offer. And he said one person's living in reality and the other person isn't. And he was basically referring to Judge not living in reality. I mean, that's the thing about the Yankees being all in on this analytics shit. And the numbers are telling him that he's going to break down, as he ages, and that this is the number they're willing to go. And if they're not willing to budge off of it, I mean, George Steinbrenner would be rolling over in his grave.
Yeah, I mean, Judge could have said the same thing about how one person's not living in reality. I mean, These guys have billions and billions of dollars, and they live in a different world. So it's like they don't understand. They just don't.
Yeah, and when you're willing to pay Garrett Cole over $35 million a year for the next how many years, but you're not willing to pay your best player and the best player in the league, what he deserves. I mean, my God, because Judge he's going to be 31 next year. This is it. This is the only time he's going to be able to cash in on the contract, and for the Yankees not to reward him. Cause I still think even at 31, he's still going to have 5, 6 great years. So, I mean, even if he tails off at the last 2 years of a 7-year deal, so what? He's worth it. Just his presence alone.
And another thing I was thinking, Robert, I mean, Cole is still a good pitcher. He's Cole this year reminds me of Tanaka.
Yeah.
That's what Cole reminds me of this year. Tanaka was a solid pitcher, a good pitcher who pitched some great games, and that's what Cole has been this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's had some great games. He's capable of pitching some great games, but he's just been, a very good pitcher this year. He hasn't been like, lights out, which it's hard to do every year.
And the one thing about Tanaka, even when he would go 500 during the regular season, come postseason time, you knew he was going to step up. And he always was a big game pitcher for the Yankees, Tanaka.
Yeah. So, that's the thing. I mean, I like Cole as a pitcher, but, he's had a lot of hiccups this year.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's leading the American League in strikeouts. I don't know if he's leading the majors in strikeouts, but he's got 244 strikeouts in 188 innings, and in 31 starts this year, he's 12-7 with an ERA of 3.5.
Yeah, and he has a tendency. He gives up, a lot of 3-run homers. It's not the homers you give up; it's when you give them up.
Yeah, he's given up 31 home runs on the year, which is by far the most on the team. I think the guy who's given up the second most is Talon, who's given up 24. So Cole's given up 7 more home runs than him.
Yeah, so, hopefully